Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Okej, witamy wszystkich na 380. warsztatach poszukiwaczy wiedzy w języku polskim. Dzisiaj tematem tej sesji jest tłumaczenie pierwszej połowy 336 warsztatu poszukiwaczy wiedzy, który leciał na żywo w zeszłym tygodniu. Mamy tutaj raz, dwa, trzy fragmenty, dość dużo materiału, ponad 1,5 godziny. Zobaczymy, jak to nam z czasem wyjdzie. Może skończymy trochę wcześniej, może nie przerobimy całego, a może puścimy wszystko, zobaczymy. Także zapraszam do słuchania, czytania i zdobywania wiedzy.
You, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers. As usual, we start with our known destiny and we see where we'll end up and how we can progress in the accumulation of knowledge. As many of you are waiting and expecting what to come through what we see, the effects of the corona from the Keshe Foundation with the tests in Iran We have, as we informed you, submitted our documents to the Americans, to the Austrian Prime Minister, and through it to the rest of EU. And this morning, we received a response from the White House that the White House, especially President Trump, would not like to discuss any matters with empty cache in respect to anything which is connected to Iran. And in that proposition, he has put his own personal interest ahead of his nation. And for that reason, we have started a spread of the discovery and the paper across the American media. This morning, the veteran paper, which is well read across the militaries, has published the first article, and we follow through the same way. We take the knowledge to the people through different aspects of media and across US, because what we believe, Americans have the right to life through the rights given to them by the Constitution. On the other hand, we will proceed the same way with the European community in the coming days, and we expect the move in a different way by the Iranian officials in coming days. KF Global will release a press release as they can get it done, and we enter within the next few days to release, once the Iranian documents are released that they can be published, we release the documents to all of you to release it to your governments and the media. For the time being, due to the circumstances that this situation has risen for us, we prefer you to follow, as it's been put very simply in veteran, and then the way you see it fit to inform the press and other people till the press publication, what we call the journal, scientific journal, releases this document. Western today has released this paper, the front copy of the page, and the response of the officials. We wait to see if they change position. In reality, we see there's a lot more to do. There's much, much more to do. And in a way, we are past Corona. The Corona situation has entered its second phase. And in some nations, we see the third phase, which we see it to happen. And we've always been very outspoken about these situations. The post-Corona, which has become environmental, the way mankind took into the life, the beginning of his life in the oceans and the waters of this planet. What we see, if this virus, the way now has become environmental, as we said months ago, and now it's getting confirmed by independent scientific organizations, some weeks behind Keshe Foundation, if this virus, now that he has found the conversion to what we call matter state, goes any further, this will create a condition of life, which means this virus in the coming weeks and months will manifest itself most probably as a being, not as an energy. And if it manages simply to attract or attach itself to magnetic field GANs or magnetic field structure of the energy of calcium within the atmosphere of this planet, it will transfer itself into a being, which means it will gradually, we will see it as an entity. There are a number of problems with this, that if it goes through this process, if it reaches this process of conversion, then we will see the next step of development, which is creation of intelligence, much more advanced than we know, and in that process become part of all of our problems. If it depends and decides through its conversion to become an entity, then where would it reside? It has taken information, it has taken dimension from our DNA, from our RNA, and in that process, can I take over this one, please? What the way it will turn up to be, that as an energy will pick up the calcium, and it has gathered energy from us and information from many of us. It has visited every organ of the man, from brain to the toe, and we presume it might create its own intelligence in a physical matter dimension. We've seen some sign of this in the very recent days. We've seen a number of signs of this in the past week. That very soon, the scientists will most probably tell us we are not facing crisis, we're saying most probably facing a takeover. To what extent it will go, we have to watch and understand, and mainly follow the procedure of his progress in conversion and diversion. As we've seen, many nations are going back to the second phase of lockdowns and masks and everything else. And in this second phase, this fields of entities will go through the transmutation of physicality. The governments will have a tough time to handle this if it happens, because it's the first time we're really dealing with entity which is like an energy pack, which has managed to convert itself in the atmospheric condition of this planet to matter state of itself. Most probably will not live within a water zone. It will live through the energy of the atmospheric condition, using human beings as a bridge for its existence. We can say with some certainty that maybe 50%. In the coming decades, we will share this planet with this virus. And to what extent we become another host to it, or we become coexisting with it. He has spread this planet very rapidly, and he has the option to extend itself to total physicality. This is to be seen, and in so many ways is another version of the creation and confirmation of existence. And what we are trying to do in the coming weeks to develop a structure that we can detect the environment of his existence. We would like to know how it exists and how we can measure it to understand its strength. And maybe in the coming times, scientists will spend time in understanding its how it lives in open spans of the planet. It is not anymore what they used to see on the microscopes and imagine. Now it has taken its own position. We see it, we feel it, and to what extent will live amongst us is to be seen. In one way or another, all of us on this planet, from the animal kingdom to plants to humans, will be touched by this energy pack. To what we can do, to what can be done, is mainly unknown to us. And in so many ways, we have to watch, we have to monitor, we have to be able to understand how we would like to handle this, how we would like to see this. Are we ready for such a transformation? And does the human being go to his next phase? This is to be seen, this is to be understood, and this is to be decided by those who will live and lead mankind on this planet. And one thing is for sure, once we have created, as we have, the condition for such a virus to exist, different mutations of it, and different fields of energy, as we call viruses, will find the planet Earth as a permanent position to live. Unfortunately or fortunately, we have been used to live with the lions and the tigers and all those we had the fear of or lived with. Now mankind has to live with this new entity as an energy pack, not seen by us, but can take many, many lives of us. In one case, as we have seen before, in the other part of the universe, mankind might have to take into space to free this planet for the life of these viruses to live forever. They have a habit of taking everything, and they have a habit that once they take everything, then they manifest themselves in the dimension of physicality on the planet. For this reason, we see most probably in the coming time, mankind has to find a way to find home in the space. The extent of this virus gradually will take over all of us. Vaccines do not work. The vaccination and dream of vaccination will be an illusion which will not exist. But this is a very serious scenario which has happened in the deep space before, and it's not the first time we have seen it. We are used to governments and wars and takeovers by what we call suppression. This time is a takeover by energy packs, which are intelligence, and they find the environment of this planet perfect to live. And gradually over time, they create that condition. This leaves mankind to a position to go through the transformation to the soul level, or go through the transformation of space travel, which with the space travel will bring itself that they travel with you in the space. They become part of passengers. Unless the governments unify and find a solution for this, in so many ways, the doomsday scenario is already here. To what extent we will expand this knowledge, to what extent we will bring this knowledge out, will depend mainly on how the world governments collaborate. How long time mankind has is unknown. How long time mankind can battle with this to reach a new understanding, again, depends on our world leaders and the scientific world in how fast we will change, how fast we will learn, how fast we will adopt. Colonization by viruses is known in space, and in so many ways, if mankind takes to the dimension of the soul, it will reach the same point. The totality of the knowledge is far beyond understanding of the human race. What we see, we know this process, and what needs to be done is eventually surrendering this planet to these creatures. Sometimes it will take decades, sometimes the speed of the operation becomes faster, and somehow we will see the same process as they become airborne, as they become waterborne, by killing as many animals in big numbers. We will see a flock of birds out of nowhere. We will see animals dying in big numbers in one go, because they reside, they can take over, they take the environment. We will see large number of fishes out of nowhere on the oceans, floors, or on the seashores. we will see massive reduction in a species. This process has taken place before in the space, and in past few days, we're becoming more and more aware of this process of existence. They need to multiply to the numbers that in totality they can exist. Then in the future they convert themselves to physical dimension if they want. The reality with this position is that no one will have control over this. If calcification and solidification takes place to the energy they can control. They are spreading to each organ and in a way taking the dimensions and information out of operation. So they're completing when a virus or a corona which has found the strength of the calcium in the lung, so he understands the DNA of the work of it, links is the one which is with the kidney, and the one which is strength of the liver and the rest, they gradually build the structure. How fast this will happen is for mankind to watch. In so many ways, I'm sure the world organizations will announce the discovery of a new creature in a coming time. To what extent we will find peace and we'll find operational work on this planet will depend entirely on citizens of this planet. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and I'll remind the attendees, as usual, that you can put up your virtual hands and we can allow you to ask questions. Don't see any questions in the Q&A or the chat yet.
Maybe we surprised them so early.
We do have a hand up from an old friend by the name of John Bloomin. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Rick. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
A little distant, but okay.
So I'm a little bit surprised by this morning's or this afternoon's talk. You know, you're releasing that paper and referring to solutions for governments, and at the same time, you're alluding to the fact that there may not be any solutions. Can you kind of go through why there's this dichotomy? Is the cup 1 and the cup 2 not solutions, or the solutions only a Band-Aid?
What we see is mankind can battle with this for a long time to come with different cups. But this animal has started mutating. this creature, whatever you call it, has to start mutating. And we see new dimensions to it. In the coming days, we will release another batch, another system into the cups, a new way, a new structure. As we see fit and as we see important for it to be done. It has taken a new dimension of the strength, and as I explained before, we have seen a new behavior, especially in some parts of the, what we call the world, where parents have started killing their children, or fathers are killing their daughters and sons and vice versa, out of nowhere. And then we see the process of the corona. We have seen a number of these in Iran in the past few weeks. If it goes in that way, we have to be open and understand it. We do not stop the teaching, we will not stop the process, but as usual, we have to give the warning as we did in advance with the others, and as we see proven step by step, we are correct. Even WHO yesterday has announced that they see it as environmental, as we said weeks ago, that it's in the environment. What we see is development of new systems is needed, conditions are needed, and how fast we can go through this development. We still follow all tracks of the work in developing new technologies, in negotiation with governments to start the space program very rapidly in a much bigger way, or being able to create environments where we can live in safety. This needs a lot of work for governments to jointly collaborate and develop new technologies on the basis of understanding the viruses and the rest. This would have been inevitable. Even if we may go to space, we would have brought viruses like this with us. Maybe it's a good time to start to look, to understand. It's not that we give up, it's that we need to know. We have to know. We have no choice. We put in the cup. We still carry on with the cup. We see new strands of energy levels coming in. We're developing new ways to battle it for you to stay free. But many of you have seen is getting hot, tougher and tougher as the coronavirus is changing in so many ways, as we see moving from one salt to another. It's possible that it operates on a different dimension of salt as is learned from different organs of the body of the man. This is the evolution. But the biggest problem is how fast it's evolving. We still have to create a peace, but as I said, if it goes this way, there'll be less and less of us to be able to live that peaceful life. We cannot hide from it in the caves. We cannot hide from it in the seas. And in a way, in a very funny way, the Prime Minister of an island of Malta a couple of weeks ago said the virus lives in the ocean, not in the island. But we don't want to stop. But this is the process we have to understand and open our eyes to a new dimension. As we become the passenger of space, these things will come with us. Maybe this is a trial for us. Can we develop systems that, like we take a cancer out of the body, we can take these energies out of the body? Quite possible. But we have to develop technologies which we can detect it. And this is one of the reasons we need collaboration between governments and different institutes to develop these detecting systems. The biggest problem will come in the next few years when these coronas convert to cancer. At the moment, it's a soft touch building home. Any other question?
We have an attendee with their hand up, Beat Whirl. But first, I'd like to read the comment from Freed in the live stream, who says, was this virus enabled to come into existence by the war conditions that was prevalent up to now? When we have established peace, will this may have enough field strength to conquer the virus?
Can you repeat that?
Okay, so he starts out with, was this virus enabled to come into existence by the war conditions that was prevalent up to now? And when we have established peace, will this have enough field strength to conquer the virus? In other words,
maybe
aggressive tendencies as humanity, if we can settle that out and establish peace within ourselves, will that be enough to conquer the virus?
in a way, this is how it's done in the universe. We always come across the viruses. Viruses are packs of energies we use. And sometimes we have to find a way to use the structure to the benefit of the life of the man or creatures or the soul or whatever you call it, energy pack. One of the best ways is to convert to the energy dimension and the physicality that it cannot exist in it or be rejected out of it. This is why we pushed with the teaching of soul, where this entity at the moment in the physical body of the man he takes hold, he sits in. But if you can extend the energy of your inner being to it, the physicality doesn't exist. Now will exist within the field of what you call the field of a bigger field. Then it becomes, will be rejected or it becomes part of us as an energy pack that has no harm. Then we can go back to physicality because in a way we have digested it. Mankind has different choices, but you have to decide.
And who decides that? Does the
Something
soul
in the
decide
energy
to
center.
create that? Or is it the physicality that creates the field?
His physicality has failed to do so. That's why he surrendered to it. As I was told by our Iranian team, can you please don't talk about the soul? It's very sensitive here. He said we can't stop because people have to understand. But in essence, we can use the energy of the virus to become part of it. Or make it as part of us as an energy supply. I was explaining in a very simple way how some of us surrender to the virus because we receive the energy of the virus that elevates our soul to the level of not wanting to be. In reality, if you think of it in a deeper way, if this virus sits in your lung and releases so much energy from your lung that in tuning with the energy of the soul, it feeds to it and the body decides to depart. The maturity and the level of the soul from the energy captured from this virus matures the level that the soul needs to not need to exist in the physical dimension. This we've seen a few weeks ago, but most of you are not ready to understand it. In a way, we invite the soul or energy of the corona, and in the process of conversion, as it calcifies and builds up its energy, it is not an entity on its own. Now it creates an energy which can link the way we die. This is the reason they die. It links to and releases energy to mature, to elevate the soul of the man, then the physicality doesn't exist anymore. Instead of living 40 years to reach, or 60 years, or 100 years to reach the maturity of the soul that it separates from the physicality, it receives that energy from the virus. And in a way, that's why we see so many deaths. In a way, this could be, in a way, large part of it, yet is the reason. When you create condition of separation of the soul from physicality, it needs to reach to a level that it can depart. It takes us 60 years to accumulate that energy to the point of the departure. Now it receives it in one pack. Because there's a reality which I wanted to explain a long time ago, maybe mankind is ready for it to understand. As we said, with the circulation of the blood I made you all British, you're all blue-blooded. When the virus takes a cell and converts it to its dimension of physicality, it has a soul. And that soul, in a dimension of existence, through the soul of physicality, reaches the environment of the brain of the man, and in transformation feeds the soul because it's of the higher order. And in that process, literally matures the soul. And the two cannot exist. Which is where the soul of physicality feeds the soul of the man to the point of maturity that you don't need to be here 60 years or 80 years. I do it in 8 days for you. The way infants mature very fast at the point of the birth. If he has managed to lock into the calcium strength in the energy pack, most probably has managed within the structure to reach the soul of the cell too. And the soul of totality after the limitation of numbers will reach the strength and reaches, crosses the brain into the soul. Then the question is, to the soul of those who departed, asked for it, for what I call rapid departure. The man has to rapidly understand the operation of his soul, that he wants to accept to leave or he become in charge. That whatever is given allows it to be on the level of his understanding. We have to become open-minded, and we have to come to understand all possibilities. The biggest problem with Corona is conversion of itself to physicality. And as it takes to convert, now you have a soul released, which can feed the soul of the man. And certain number reaches a point of maturity. That's why we age slowly, slowly. We give numbers up to, till we keep that drip, drip, till the bucket fills up. Any other question?
Well, I kind of got James going, I guess. In the Q&A, he says, man will still get the calcium salt deposits and get cancer. They have 5 years to live, except those who can dissolve it. Most will die early without the cups. Is it correct to say that billions will die? Last man standing will be lonely.
We don't know. What the last man is stand to be lonely. But this is what we're facing in space. This is the knowledge we need to gather that we can stand the span of the universe. We will inevitably, becoming passengers of the space, will face these. But this time we are facing it in the spaceship of Earth.
Physics.
These are plants which have not received any water, anything at all, for nearly 5 months. And is this plant. Usually they die. They're water-consuming plants, and they die. But they've been watered with GANs for a long time. This is aloe vera. Hasn't been watered for 5 months, and it's actually grown more than before. You see another bunch of aloe veras. They exist without water for 5 months, not a drop. But the environment is full of cancers. That's another one. What is interesting, this is orchid. He has actually given flowers, he's gone through his full cycle, and 5 months is still alive, no water. And there are 2 orchids. They're both with everything else. So in so many ways, we see plants survive. And what is interesting, if you go and look at the front, you will see they have even given shoots. If you look at here, new shoots are coming up without any water. This is what we see environmentally. We can create a condition that plants can survive. We change the environment and they absorb energy, and they don't need water, not a drop, for 5 months. Seekers.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, indeed. We learn from it.
Now we have from Sobia, I believe it is. Sobira.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. My name is Subira. I'm from Iran. I have a question allow me. Always in your teaching, you say negative wire when you set up when you make a setup. The diode negative long go to the nano-coated code. But
Yeah.
in the web cache, VT cache is the opposite. Always the positive go to the nano.
We asked them to change it. We
Okay.
asked this to be changed so many times. The reason we put the negative on a nano is that we pull the energy from the environment to create the condition of circulation.
I have another question, if you allow me.
Yes, please.
Well, since I work with the Kansas, I also make some tests on the planet. But the place I live, I don't get too much sun. Can we create some environment, as you said now, like, I don't know, make some kind of sun for the
Make a what? Sun what?
sun, yes.
There is a, I was discussing this yesterday. Maybe
No.
that's the reason you're here. There is a part of the technology which I do not teach because the knowledge is not there, and collectively we have never had a reason to discuss it, and it is creation of the plasmatic rays. And in a way, if you look at the ray of the sun, creating an interaction of the fields which is beneficial to, could be the body of the man, could be the plants. Rays that in conversion allow certain processes to take place. This technology at the moment is close to mankind because it has application in a very, very direct way on the development of the soul of the man. What does this mean? Sorry about that. Is that the way we use very much laser beams, we have a technology which at this moment of time, as I said, cannot be open to mankind. Primarily due to the behavior of the man. And in that process, we create fields and we convert the fields to rays. And we can convert rays that in conjunction with what we call inertial field plasma, it creates matter state or field state rays or gases or matter state. On the Earth condition, not through the plasma, we find the process of rays of the sun when they come to the inertial mass of the plasma of the Earth and matter state, they convert the energy to matter state. There is a process that we can do the same with the fields of plasma. This is one of the ways that you can literally target viruses, if you want to think of it that way. We add energy at a given level that the plasma receives overwhelming energy that it has no other choice but to divide, and it loses its power. Or where in deep space you want to cut through fields. Plasmatic rays is a knowledge we don't see any reason to share with mankind at this moment of time. Till mankind moves from this behavior of killing, because this is a very powerful tool, extremely powerful tool. If it's used the correct way, you can elevate the souls. If he used the wrong way, as this is plasmatic in its strength, can open up the soul, which means you become fragments of it. You create a condition that the fields of the plasma from this position to become to this position. Spacing of gap, different behavior, different structure. If you understand this, you can create conditions of the fields of rays to behave like the sun, but at the spectrum specifically as a plant needs or a person needs. It's in construction and in its behavior is very much like what we call fields, but in a more homogeneous ways, a collection of the same, not the spectrum of the same. And these rays are extensively used for certain purposes in space. But at this moment we don't see to be taught as is part of the knowledge hidden from mankind at this moment of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. You can create fields of energies which the plant takes it as the sun rays, as a light.
It was in,
pardon?
Sorry, in one of the teaching, the Persian department, Dr. Jaran showed us the plant, I guess it was spinach from the Romania, some guy made it without dirt, without water, just the plant was in the air. So the root, it was not in anything, not water, not dirt. That plant just growing and make a new leaf. Is it some kind of this technology you say?
It is, you can do it. You can, once you create an environment, the plant tunes into it. There is a trick in these plants which you've seen, I showed, which you did not observe, is that when the plants were watered, all of them sit in an extra pot. Most of them. And those, because the GANS waters in the past has been put in and now dried out, they have the residual of some GANSes that with a plant there, they continuously create that condition that the moisture comes into the plant. If you notice, the secret is not putting the plant. I can show you most of the ones which are single plant have some problem. Those who are sitting inside another cup have survived, because now you have a double GANS system instead as you create GANS water, and this attracts what we call the amino acid from the space. This is how these plants were fed. This is why the orchid is still there. The secret is in double layering. the soil is absolutely dry rock. You cannot even break it. I tried to break the soil to see it. It's absolute rock. But as the ganses have been put in over time, they have seeped into those layers of different strength. And as they create an environment in a way around them, between the cups, they absorb protein to the leaves. And those proteins, according to what nature needs, uses. You cannot, it's impossibility to break these soils in these plants. It's so hard. But it has survived. Orchids have gone through the full cycle of what we call flowering. And they've gone through a winter time.
Sir, if you use this device, I guess you call it star formation, this 4 ball, that can affect in that way.
Yes, but I advise you, I know Shahab is sitting in the background listening to it, I would have burned his ears down with it. You see, we went and we took some pictures of, let me ask just 1 second, please. We took some pictures of the kiri tree in Austria. I asked to be taken about 2 weeks ago. And it's amazing what we see with these kiri trees. Do you have the pictures you can put up? Can you send the pictures to Stanley?
Who, me?
No.
Okay.
We're going to show, I want to show you something very interesting what has happened with our kiri tree. It's about 2 years now we're at it.
Okay.
If they're there, it can be shown. What is interesting is we see environmental changes affect, and in a way, you just need to create a condition. With the kiri tree, what was done was that we planted star formation. When we go on there, if we manage to get the pictures on, out of 35 kiri tree, we observe only 3, more or less what we can see standing up. And the original one, which the first year received, is around about 6-8 meters now, roughly. Then last year, these other 2 were added. This year, nothing has been added to these up to now. And when you go up the hill, you only see 3 kiri trees, you don't see the others. And this has taken shape in that form. If in the future we're going to plant these trees, it will be a very nice proposition in 2 different ways. Planting the cores under the ground. In a way, embedding. And understanding one above and different combinations, we can attract all the protein we need to the field. Which means in desert areas, we don't need to cultivate water. We can just grow. By going underground to certain steps and creating the fields which are matching for the plant, we create an environment of the dome that in desert areas, we can just grow vegetation. We bring the strength below level, not on the surface. And this allows, just 1 second, please. And in so many ways, we can bring and introduce new condition environment. And we can enhance in areas that allows this to take shape, allows to create that dome. And in the process, we can allow, if there is a rain, to be there, which is different. And in the dry season, the protein environment to be available for vegetation to grow. We go under than over. And this gives us a facility to be able to observe changes that it can be collective as a greenhouse effect. One of the reasons we see these plants green is the house is literally saturated with ganses, let alone the plant pot. And in totality, everything is inside it. It takes from the environment of the room what it needs. No doors has been opened, no doors has been closed. And temperature has been kept at about 3 to 5 degrees. And the beauty of it is they can survive like this for years. And whereas the stand desert, we understand. But the plants like the other two are very much water dependent. But the beauty of it is the way they thrived. And we have those who are in single pots and they have not survived next to each other. They're literally 5 centimeters away from each other. And the ones which are a single pot have not survived. This brings a very beautiful idea. We say, if you are traveling too much, don't keep plants because they die. Now with this, it becomes a myth. Because you can leave your plants, they'll survive. Winter, summer. They even shoot and root.
Thank you, sir. It's always honor. Thank you. I don't have any question.
Thank you very much. We are waiting for the pictures of the creature to be put up, that we can see it, and we see if it's ready to come up. It will be shared. This is the picture of the creature you see. This is the original one. We planted, or was planted. We put the ganses on it. You still see. Where are my? Why can't I annotate? Yeah, you see the. Oh, what is this thing? How do I annotate? Oh yeah, there it is. Where you look, these are the pots, and you can see how tall it's grown. Can you reduce the picture? We can see it. Yeah. In a distance, if you see, we don't see it. Can we have the picture of, that's another kiri tree. Can you go back to the last picture? Hello. Can we have the picture of the?
This is the picture that they started with.
Yeah. Can we go to the next one, please?
Yes. The next one is this.
Yeah. This tree was, these have been put around it last year. And this year up to now, we have no, what we call, nothing has been done to them. Somehow I lost, let me reset. Okay. It's just a light, I can't annotate on your board. Okay, no. Here, you see them. There are three of them which have received. Let me see the difference. And it's clearly out of 35, very few have picked up. In a way, it means this environment where the trees were grown is not for this plant. If you go back to the other one, the original one, this one in the original one, this one in Middle East grows to over 10 to 12 meters by now, which means Northern European temperatures are not suitable for growing these plants on a mountain, on a hillside. But they're still standing up, very tall. We only change the environment of it. You can see the other one in the shadow of it in the background. We don't see the other 35, we couldn't see. It's very hard to recognize where they are. Yeah, that's the one from last year. Added to, and you see it stands out. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing.
Mr. Keshe, Herbert mentions in the chat, for some months we had Gans balls near the sole of the kiri tree at the roots, at the big kiri tree.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just in the chat there.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
We have Dean with a hand up here. Go ahead, Dean.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for taking my question. My question was, I'd like to go back to the creatures. You said about the virus is now going to take a manifestation of physicality.
Possible, yeah.
That physicality has a very aware intelligence. If that's so, would that creature not, would it not go to the universe? Would it not just leave the planet? Take another dimension?
Do you go somewhere where is the land of plenty to start? It, by error, by mistake, or by delivery, or whatever, has found the best place to survive and to nourish.
If it's a soul, Mr. Keshe, the ultimate goal of a soul is to go back to the creator. So would that, and it's a creature of the creator, so would it not be at some point go back?
Depends, like us, we stayed here for a long time and we go in bits. But the reality is this entity can survive much longer than mankind because he has an energy environment. He doesn't have a depletion of the physicality at the moment.
So if that intelligence of this being is going to be superior to mankind's humanity,
not necessarily. It has a power to combat. Is it more intelligent? We do not know till we see it. But the physicality of this virus, because it's the first time we've seen matter conversion, is inevitable. Is inevitable.
And so that being wants to replicate and, as you say, transform. And like all beings, once they start interacting with their environment, it wants to multiply itself.
I think Mr. Keshe has unmuted.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah. I said what we have seen, yes, it can mutate, it can change and convert rapidly. It's taken over this planet from Africa to Siberia and to Brazil and what you call Amazons and China and every corner of this planet in less than 6 months. And is completely what they said when the summer comes, it goes. The summer has come, it's gone worse. And so we have let it free. And anybody tells us there is a virus for it, if there is a vaccination for it, and immunization for it, show me. Somebody is rubbing something. Can you switch the microphones up, please? In so many ways, the virus has intelligence and is rapidly growing. How I think those who even invented it or thought they brought it in will have a field day. They can control it, but it's run out of control in every dimension. This breed of coronavirus has a long history in the universe, and we are aware of it, we know it. And in time, if mankind become good enough at it, you can reclaim the earth back. But in a way, needs the whole of humanity to get together in a way to be able to do it. As you're aware, we have officially requested to go to this path to extend the space and development of the space and development of the soul, and what we call the opening of the spans of universe for mankind. We have made an official offer to the Iranian National, what we call Defense University, for the full collaboration of the Keshe Foundation and Iranian officials and government and scientists for the first phase of the development of the space reactors for deep space travel. This offer was made yesterday to the Iranian officials, and with this we extend the same to all the nations. This time has come that we work in that direction, as we offered the technology and what we call the hand of peace to the Americans by giving the what we call the Corona solution to European, to the American, the Chinese, and the what we call Russians. And in due course, when they agreed, yesterday, officially, Keshe Foundation has put a proposal to the Iranian government for development of the open development of the Iran, the space technology, as fast as possible. The request has been put to His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. So we have entered in what we said to expand the horizon of knowledge to space. And with this, when we agree, when we come to start doing it, we'll bring the scientists from all over the world. And then in a deeper space travel, and with it, most probably the elevation of the soul of the man, mankind will find salvation from this situation. And this needs a lot of what you call understanding and realization of what we call end of a lot of misconducts by a lot of governments and world leaders, and simultaneously will bring a new collaboration, cooperation. Deliberately, if you read the message which was put out today, if you can go back to it, Rick, please, by veteran read it, is strategically, politically worded. Can you put it up, please? We plan for a world peace. World peace has to come by all nations and in all directions. And as you are aware, in an international arena, Israelis have or claim they have damaged 2 advanced reactor sites development, not anything else, in Iran in the past 2 weeks. We close our eyes to this behavior as we are much more generous and forgiving in Iran. Rick, can you put that article?
Yes, here it comes.
Yeah. We have extended specifically this piece. It says the same offer stands for Israel. During her, go back up please, no the other way, up to the top of it, yeah. It says the same offer has been made to the Americans stands for the state of Israel during her current COVID-19 crisis. This comes out of what I call the greatness of Iran. We close our eyes to this childish behavior, and in so many ways, we invite the total nations to Iran, with collaboration with the University of Science, what we call Defense Technology of Iran, to open the spans of the universe in collaboration. As I said, now you know, we always announced long before, I'll be traveling back to Iran to head the development of this technology. And within the next few weeks, we start the process of development. And what we expect to reach rapid conclusion in space and life-carrying conditions. In the past few days, I've shared this knowledge with, in a very soft way, with the head of the Keshe Foundation, that as they take over, they understand the next phase for humanity, and a joint combination of travel and life in a deeper space will be starting in Iran in a very short time. As I said, we have entered post-corona, and as one of the greatest nations on this planet for centuries, we know how to close our eyes in the shortcoming of the others. And in a way, we do not hit back. We invite out of their childishness, their behavior, to understand how they behave. If you understand deeper, in the deeper space travel, we do not need nuclear technology. We need plasma technology in a way of understanding the structure of the creation, that it leads us to opening up the deeper space. I'm just waiting for the enhancement units to complete, to go through their first phase. And when they complete the first phase in the next few days, then we travel back to Iran. And in that process, upon my return to Tehran, the full space technology will start, without failure, without break. We head Iran into the deeper space, travel beyond imagination of the man, and we invite the world scientists to join us. In that way, we'll change a lot of things. At the moment, the way we are heading with this situation with Corona, millions of people unemployed, bankruptcies, and many scientists are on doldrums of life. With this new technology and the opening of the space in this way, we replace the old with new. And I'd like to thank the Office of Necessaril of Iran in allowing the new technology to take shape in Iran. We work within the structure of guidance of tradition to keep and do well and think well and act well. And in so many ways, we go deeper in understanding the totality of the creation. As I said in the One Planet, One Nation, One Race on Tuesday, in the coming days, we start the writing of the book number 9, which is the soul, which completes the soul of the man. And it'll follow with the 9 books, which come to understanding the soul of the universe, understanding of the work of the soul in the universal dimension, and by book 9, to lead mankind to understanding of his creator. And this is one of the reasons I stepped down in running or being around the Keshe Foundation, as for me, the opening of the space in both dimensions of the soul and physicality. And then at the same time, when the soul of the man enters the universal community, it's like an infant. It needs to be taught. The teaching of the soul, as we call the books of the universe, will be taught in a different way and shape. We write it with the pen of the soul. And we start that teaching. So we're ready, hopefully, within the next few months, to start learning more about life in a deeper space as we develop new technologies and new tools for travel in the universities of Tehran. And in that process, we invite all of you, the scientists, to join us, not necessarily to come to Iran, but collectively to share knowledge without boundaries, that we can move as one race, does not matter where we are. In so many ways, the time has come for mankind to move, and as I promised, within 9 months left to achieve it, we start the whole process. Once the enhancement unit is complete and is handed over, we go into a rapid development to put all the energies of all the scientists around the world in the beautiful city of Tehran. And eventually we'll see what comes on the other end, which is for man to travel in deep space, total disarmament, equality of all races, and in so many ways as one race. Mankind will have a new life to be busy with than being busy with what has been busy in killing for past decades. We have no choice. As we see the beautiful flag of Iran, we have developed step by step. And as we see, the red sits at the bottom. We have passed that. We have elevated the white, which is peace. And understanding of peace brings nothing but what we call growth and greenery, and how this is how the flag of Iran was set from the origin. We passed the killing, we achieved peace, which is white, And through it, we achieve a new development of knowledge and technology, which is a new planet, a new life. And we associate that with green, new season. To what extent other nations want to react is and will be totally ignored and irrelevant, because the knowledge will be developed in Iran in such a way that, as I said, the present technologies have become obsolete. We developed a new intelligence systems for control and communication and the storage of information using the new gas plasma technology. And in that process, we will expand the knowledge beyond the present time. The development of the new, what we call memory banks, with a fast response, millions of times faster than the present computers, is essential part of the development of the new technology. And as I said, we make sure this stays open to all nationals and all parts of this planet as one nation. Many of you have been waiting for the conference in Tehran. Soon this conference will take place. As we go through the final phases of Corona and understanding of the new technology, new understanding of space development, and in so many ways, new phase. We will deliver technologies never seen by man. We deliver technologies that eradicates the need for food in the next few months, with collaboration and the work of the Iranian scientists and the rest of the world. We use Iran as a point of reference, and we make Iran the center of new knowledge. And in so many ways, we have achieved what we came here for, and now we put the next phase into operation. The collaboration of the Keshe Foundation with the National University of Defense of Iran is not coincidental. It's the center of excellence for the most excellent brains of Iran. And it will not take long for us to develop and complete many aspects of the space technology.
Okej, to by było na tyle, jeśli chodzi o ten fragment. Dojechaliśmy do końca, w sumie do 2 godzin 6 minut. Ktoś ma jakieś pytania albo ochotę podzielić się swoją wiedzą, swoimi przemyśleniami, to zapraszam. No, ze swojej strony myślę, że kontynuacja ciekawych wątków, tu mieliśmy na początku od strony właśnie polityki, tego co się dzieje, czyli publikacji, zapraszania publikacji naukowej ukazującej skuteczność technologii, zachęcanie krajów do tego, żeby używały, o tym co mówiliśmy na ostatnim na ostatnich zajęciach, że właśnie dr Keshe też stosuje, można powiedzieć, takie presje polityczne, umieszcza informacje, że oficjele tego i tego kraju to dostali zaproszenie do używania tej technologii. Potem mówi to też innym krajom, że inne kraje dostały. W pewnym sensie stara się gdzieś tam to grać w taki sposób, w jaki funkcjonuje ten świat polityki, czyli łapania się, chwytania rozwiązań też nie tylko dlatego, że są, tylko dlatego, że inni je mają i mogą je użyć. I myślę, że to jest coś, co też jest obecne w obecnym świecie polityki. Ciekawe informacje też na koniec, myślę, w kontekście rozwijania tego w Iranie. Oznacza to, że jest tam odpowiednie wsparcie, żeby takie procesy trwały, więc myślę, że dla nas też pozytywna informacja, że fundacja znalazła silnego sprzymierzeńca, który jest w stanie i który chce ciągnąć te badania właśnie jeśli chodzi o technologię plazmy Gansu, po to, żeby dostarczać rozwiązania, czy to zdrowotne, czy energetyczne, czy kosmiczne, czy w jakiejkolwiek innej dziedzinie. Także myślę, że nie pozostaje nic innego, jak patrzeć z ciekawością na to, jak to się będzie rozwijać. Oczywiście wspierać to każdy z nas może z poziomu fizycznego poprzez dzielenie się wiedzą, uczenie, pomaganie innym dookoła, także z poziomu duszy jesteśmy w stanie wspierać swoim życzeniem, swoją intencją. Jesteśmy w stanie wspierać te wszystkie rzeczy, które się dzieją po to, żebyśmy mogli prowadzić zmiany na tym świecie. W zasadzie dzisiaj chciałem może troszkę inaczej nie streszczać całego wykładu, tylko podkreślić właśnie to, że sami jesteśmy w stanie też wspierać ten proces na każdym poziomie, na jaki chcemy, czy to fizycznym, czy na poziomie właśnie duszy, poprzez intencje, życzenia, poprzez w zasadzie działanie tylko i wyłącznie w obrębie naszego własnego zrozumienia, jakkolwiek to rozumiemy, jakkolwiek chcemy pomóc, zawsze ta intencja nie jest szkodliwa, tylko zawsze jest tą kropelką, którą dodajemy do tego naczynia, które się napełnia. Także to wszystko z mojej strony na dzisiaj. Jeśli ktoś ma ochotę jeszcze coś dodać, to zapraszam. Jak nie, to będę szykował już filmik na zakończenie. Dzięki.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów. dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata Staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.